Hi, everybody. This is the Kubernetes Workgroup Device Management meeting for January 20th. I will display the agenda. Okay. All right. Looks like we just have a couple of items. Uh, for the first item, I know Peter had some questions. Mostly, I just wanted to open the floor to discussion on some of the things um, that we are thinking about for 136. Um, And since we have some time, we can maybe spend a few minutes on this. Can folks hear me? Because I'm not hearing anything right now.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, let me make this bigger. So, Peter, you had a question here on, was it partitionable?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I mean, I only made one P0. Like this was just me. Like if you guys, I also really I want all of these things. But the SIG scheduling was like, well, we have limited reviewer bandwidth. Can you give us a rank ordering? Just they're gonna in the past they've gotten to everything, but they need to be able to know what they can, um, delay if they have to. So, um, yeah, my in my opinion, um, these ones that are graduations uh, are actually probably not too hard, and we should just try to get them out the door like right away. There's a few PRs out there already, and if we can just get them done, we might you know take it off their plate early. I guess is what I'm trying to say. But
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree that I want everything as well, and extended
mhm.
resources is probably priority like the zero for me. But from Red Hat's perspective, like partitionable devices is really important, and we would really
Yeah.
love to see it go beta this release. So anything that like I just want to throw our hat in the ring, as it
Okay.
were, and say like
Probably.
anything we can do to help push it and increase priority, like we would happily do.
So there's already a PR out for that. For I think just for the cap. I don't know. And Morton, is there one for the is there one for the implementation too, or just for the cap change right now?
Just kept so far.
Okay. So it is. And it looks like Kevin. I think Kevin Hannon already did um, jump in there, but um, anyway, if anybody's interested, that like we can move it along as quick as possible. Um, so anything else? So the priorities I put these in, and like I said, like I obviously they're up for debate. Like there's just what I thought from talking to everybody seemed reasonable, and partly there's a little bit of like, well, we should just get this done, right? As opposed to um, necessarily like some of them they just need to be wrapped up. So if there's anybody else who has comments on the prioritization and wants to change it, um, happy to discuss that. Um, and if there's anybody who has questions on any of these, I'm happy to talk about any of them. Um, but if not, we can probably move on to the next topic. Oh, somebody has a hand. Francesco. Sorry, I didn't have the hands
Yeah,
on.
it's hopefully a simple process question. So we have quite a few items with the same priority. So how do we prioritize inside the same priority class?
I know, I know. I kind of ranked them in my, but this is totally like my ranking, right? Probably everybody on the call has their own ranking. So, um, that that's what I told Sig scheduling is like, hey, they're basically in the order of preference. Like, but I know, yeah. So
Okay, so stack rank the among inside the same priority class.
yeah.
It yeah makes sense to me. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Any other questions? Okay. Then the next thing I wanted to bring up. So this is an idea I had talking to. So the folks working on. There's no CAP for this yet, but the folks working on like workload aware scheduling and topology aware scheduling. Well, I described it in the document, but basically had some. The way up until now, we've been asking external schedulers or like things like that to use DRA to make very prescriptive choices, is to tweak the spec and use cell expressions. So like, so I say Slurm could go and say, hey, I want you to, they run their own DRA CPU driver, or the one that Praveen's been working and Francesco have been working on. And they'd say, hey, but I want to pick CPU ID 5. And, they would add a cell expression to the spec with a scheduling gate or something to just basically tell Kube-Scheduler, do this. And I got a little pushback from folks doing workload aware scheduling that's like kind of too hard. And so thinking about it in one of the core principles in DRA that we want to adhere to is that any client that looks at the API and can and understands the semantics of the API, probably by including libraries that we publish, but theoretically they could duplicate logic. They can calculate feasibility of any given allocation. And so that's one of the reasons we moved away from the original DRA design, because that was impossible. So the question was, how do we enable that to be true while giving more flexibility to third-party processes, third-party systems to make some allocation decisions. So this is an exploration of an idea to do that, where they use the status and they can do allocations of particular devices, and then the dynamic resource plugin comes in and just takes that as kind of a ground truth, and doesn't explore the search space that doesn't include those allocations. And so if they pick something infeasible, right, then it will remain impending and it won't get scheduled. So there's still a guarantee of like feasibility across they have to adhere to that feasibility guarantee, or they'll potentially not be able to schedule their pods. But it kind of lets us take more bespoke logic that's going to be hard to express using the DRA modeling API, especially as we develop, since that's still being developed, and put them in an external piece of code. There are gotchas and complications, and it will require code changes. And so, sorry, my dogs are going crazy. I don't know if you can hear it, but so if folks can take a look at that, I'd appreciate it. So that's all. I'm sorry, no hands on that. Then yeah, please take a look at that document if you're interested in that. Otherwise, Patrick.
Yeah, I just wanted to share some finding from some work that I did last week. I finally tracked down something that was being tracked in a flaky test issue, but it actually was a bug in the code. So under very tight time constraints and in a very short time window, it was possible that the scheduler would allocate the same device that is already allocated to one claim to another claim. It basically ignored that the device is allocated. The code that tracked that is a device in use that was buggy and had race conditions. It actually had two race conditions in different parts. I tracked that finally down last week by writing an integration test because it wasn't happening in the E2E test that we had before often enough to make any progress. And that's a core logic problem. It affects all the releases since, I don't know, I think 132, since we started using structured parameters. So my plan is to backport that fix to all the previous releases. It's not probably high priority because it really occurs very infrequently, but it is a bug. And it is a reminder to DRA driver office that if you do node prepare resources, you're kind of expected to check that device is not already prepared. Because these bugs can happen, and the consequences can be fairly catastrophic. You might end up with running two processes from different users with the same hardware. So definitely double check that what you are preparing makes sense. It implies that the kubelet driver plugin must do some bookkeeping of what is prepared for which claim, which it probably needs to do anyway. That's why it's in the driver and not in the kubelet. And also because the logic kind of depends on what the driver supports. So this check must be aware of admin mode, for example. So admin mode allows a device to be prepared again, but only if a second prepare call, or if it's a normal prepare and then admin mode access, that's allowed, but two normal accesses are not allowed. So this is kind of logic that should be there. And if that logic is in place, this bug that I just described in the scheduler isn't that bad. It will just mean that the pod remains pending until the other workload stops. But if that second line of defense in the driver isn't there, well, it's bad enough, I think, that it justifies a backport.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. Yeah, that's a big one. Okay, unless there's questions on that, let's move on. Ryan.
Hey, there we go. Okay, thanks, John. So I wanted to put another KEP on the radar, I guess, of folks. I know you guys are very busy. You guys have a lot of KEPs, but I'm from the working group Node Lifecycle, and I wanted to share this with this group because we're working on a few things. So this is a brand new KEP. Well, an idea that we've been working on for a long time, but a brand new KEP, a new take on doing and coordinating lifecycle and creating an API for coordinating lifecycle of resource APIs and this the reason I want to put it on this group's radar is because a few reasons. One is that the approach that we're taking now is a completely different scope than what we've looked at in the past. In the past, we've looked at this as actually a scoping to a node, but things have obviously changed, and so the scope has now changed. Where that, and so is the design, and so if what we've done with this new approach is actually much inspired by a lot of work this group has done with DRA. And so if you go in there, you'd see actually a lot of familiar concepts. And so one of the things is, that I would actually ask from this group is that there's a lot of experience in here from people who've been reviewing DRA and built different things with DRA. A lot of what's in that design is actually will be similar, and I wanted to leverage a lot of that experience and the challenges that people have faced and various things that people have seen and conversations that people have had to actually help guide this process. And that's one. The second thing is that this is a very much a cross-cutting idea, doing lifecycle management of resources in Kubernetes. So essentially our scope for this KEP is we're focused as a lot of use cases on as a node for Alpha, but we're not really, it's not meant to be inhibited by a node. We could eventually expand that to other Kubernetes resources, so it can include a device and various other things. So that is intentional, but so I wanted to make you all aware of that because it's something that I think could be valuable in the future. So if it's something you're interested in, please join us on the KEP. I'd love to hear your feedback. I think it'd be very valuable from from people in this working group.
Awesome.
So thank you. If you have any questions, yeah, please come find me. We have a working group note lifecycle in Slack, and then obviously on the CEP. That'd be fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, I knew you mentioned this in Signode last week, and it looks pretty interesting. So yeah, I think it's definitely worth it for folks familiar with DRA to take a close look at this. Because I think if I can, like you said, part of what DRA was like is to try to expand the ability for Kubernetes to understand new types of devices, and I think this probably has a very similar impact, like broadly, of like as like you said, you're starting with Node, but if we can sort of program Kubernetes to understand lifecycle events for different types of devices, like it becomes a lot easier to support new things without having to change it all the time.
Yeah, if I could even expand my pitch a little bit, I mean, I think like one of the sentences or a few sentences I have in there is like in terms of the motivation is like we're doing DRA now and sort of how it's changing the paradigm of how we're doing a lot of the day one scheduling. A lot of the pitch for this is that in parallel, it'd be interesting to discuss how we can sort of adopt and change some of the day two lifecycle stuff at the same time. And that's like, I think we're talking about accelerators, and accelerators are really expensive when they break, and it's costly. We need them to be online. So this problem's going to come up very quickly. So that's something that why that we're bringing it up now, and we really want to get some traction and get this going.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, looks like Geeta snuck in one more item here. So what have you got, Geeta?
Hi, just two quick questions. First, I simply want to say thank you to the community. AWS Neuron launched our beta DRA driver, and thanks to the community for all the support. The second is, I have a question on the scalability test that's ongoing. What's the throughput we are seeing with DRA in the upstream test? The reason I ask is because we are planning to contribute the same test on AWS. We would like to start that effort and discussions. So whom should I connect with? How does it stand today?
Jack?
You're probably going to say the same thing, John. So Alay has been driving this from NVIDIA's side, Alay Patel. John Hune, who's also here, and myself have been collaborating with Alay. So start with Alay. Feel free to loop myself in and John. Really great.
More than me.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like Morton's dealt with our internal team on the scalability testing and worked with Alay. I mean, I reviewed some things, but Morton will be better. Oh, you meant John Hune. Okay, that makes more sense. Yes. I was like, I don't think I'm the right person. Yeah. Now you got it. Okay. Yes, John Hune and Alay would be perfect.
All right, sounds good. I will reach out offline then. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Well, short meeting, I guess, today. Geeta, do you have a link to this? Is it open source?
Open source it's work in progress. We have public facing documentation, which I'll share.
So we do have a document in our working group device management repository, a README. You might want to add an entry for it there.
Okay.
Listing like known supported drivers. Like it's not like an official Kubernetes thing. It's just like things we know about.
Yeah. The link is in last week's meeting notes. It was a question that came up also last week because it's not a page that it's that well known.
Yeah.
Problem is partly that it's out of tree, so we kind of have it, but we don't really have a way to link to it, so people have to know about it. I did add it to the link node in our Slack channel, so if people keep looking for that, the channel has it under the stored links at the top.
All right, I'll take a look. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, if there is nothing else, then we get more than half an hour back. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you. So, well, I'll say one more thing. CEP deadline is coming up fast. So if you've got KEP reviews or KEPs you're working on, yeah, bring them top of mind. I think we have three weeks from today or something like that. So it's coming up real fast. Okay. Thanks, everybody.